Hey everyone, welcome to the Backyard Brothers podcast. I'm introducing this episode and us today. It is a Wednesday night. Usually we do this Saturday mornings, but we think we're going to change it up in order to help with some scheduling between us three. So with that, we can get into it. We've had last week we did a pardon the interruption type of format, talking through a lot of stuff and get back to kind of our normal format, which is just a couple of different topics that we'll discuss. And we're going to start out talking about the NBA and specifically with the in-season tournament, which is ongoing at the moment. I will introduce that, and then we can each talk a little bit about our thoughts and predictions and just general discussion around that. So first of all, what the in-season tournament is it's basically a way for players to make a little more extra money during the season.
We all know
Each
they need
team,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's all I'm gonna say.
that's what it is, and it's the NBA trying to make the regular season a little more competitive as well. And so teams are broken out into groups of 5, different than their conferences. They're broken out based on, teams with previous good records, not good records. There's try to make a lot of parity in these different groups. And then they, over the course of November and December, are going to play in tournament games intermixed with normal regular season games. And then after they each play each other, these 6 teams within the group all play each other. The best 2 teams will move on to basically the semifinals and then to a finals. And essentially there's going to be a most valuable player of the all tournament will get a little bonus, but winning teams players will receive a big cash bonus basically for winning that. The in-season tournament has absolutely no impact on end of season playoffs apart from all of the tournament games count towards your regular season games. And obviously in the in-season tournament, if you're one of the final teams, you're playing a couple extra games, which means that you're going to rest a couple of games near the end of the season, which may help you for the playoffs. So there are some benefits to the playoffs there. But this is just a new idea. It's the first year, the NBA trying to make the regular season a little more competitive and allowing the players to be motivated by being able to get a bonus of, I think the winning team gets $500,000 or something like that per player. And so there's an opportunity for players to make some more money that's outside of their contract, and the NBA gets to have a little more competition. So what are your thoughts here, guys? Tell us what you think. Cody, we can start with you.
So I think more of my thoughts is going to be more of a conversation about that, because this is something that I'm hearing for the first time. This is just the first season they're doing it, you said, right?
Yep.
So they're doing a mid-season tournament that counts towards your record. Is that correct? So it counts
Yes.
towards your record, but there's no real impact to who wins it other than who gets the money, correct?
The only other impact is that since you're playing a couple more games in like the finals of the tournament, that those games will be taken off near the end of the season, and so you'll play less games than other teams when in March and April, allowing you to rest and prepare for the real playoffs better. And so instead of playing 6 games in April, you only play 4 games in April.
So a buy of sorts, if you will.
Yes.
So okay, that's interesting, and it I guess how explain to me in detail how it makes it more competitive, because I'm sure it does, but I kind of want to see that.
Yep. So there's always been the debate of the regular season is too long. It's not competitive, whatever it is. And so this is just another try that the NBA is doing to see if they can make the regular season more competitive by having a tournament in the middle of the season, a tournament that has awards assigned to it, such as MVPs, best teams. You're playing against teams that you're, statistically matching up against, some teams that were equal to you, some teams that were better than you last year. And so, and they're not necessarily in your same conference, but you're still grouped with them in a way. And so, with that, plus that you're playing for something more than just a win or a loss, trying to get yourself some extra money is an attempt to make it more competitive.
Yeah. If you're familiar with the college basketball format, they do the same thing. Um, College basketball has in-season tournaments all the time, where Michigan State will play Duke. They pit really big teams against each other for draws of, oh my gosh, in season we're going to see Kansas play, um, you know, North Carolina or something like that. And again, it all counts to their wins and losses, and so this is just taking that kind of aspect from college and bringing it to the NBA. That's what I think of.
So, if I were to compare, just for my own understanding, for anyone else, I guess, who might be with the same brain that I have, as far as like matching the parity up, the teams are statistically together. It's similar to what the NFL did with adding the extra game. Now they're kind of taking a division to another division and having the first play the first and the last play the last. That's kind of the same idea, but more competitive. Am I correct?
I think that's a fair comparison, except the NFL added a game and the
Right.
NBA is not adding any games. In fact, it's kind of taking some games off at the end, like Dustin said, if you play more at the beginning of the season. So
And then with what you were saying with college basketball, it's essentially non-conference game. It's just in the middle of the season that means something.
yeah, a lot of different conferences will a lot of different tournaments will bring a lot of teams from different conferences to play in um one tournament, and the winner gets the trophy. But that's about it. So,
I like it.
yeah.
I think that's a cool idea. I think it'd be kind of cool to see more somehow that kind of idea put into place in football if they could.
Yeah, I am curious what the NBA will do in future years. It'd be fun to see them do invitationals, have a Los Angeles Invitational where they, over the course of a week, host all the games there at the Staples Center and have different teams play throughout there, have a MSG Invitational, things like college basketball currently does. I wonder if that'll happen in the future.
As you can tell, speaking to our audience, I'm dealing with laryngitis or something. I don't know. But so we're going to be talking about a midseason NFL report as well. We're talking 16 teams today and 16 teams next week. And I think we'll just do it in the same order that we did our preview. So, and in this case, I just want to hear like a sentence or two from each of us about these teams, how they're doing, where they are, and abandon ship or keep on going, kind of a thing. So, AFC North is where we start with the Baltimore Ravens. Cody, you go first. We'll just
I
go.
was gonna say I would gladly take that one as the Seahawks are the latest team to take a beating from them. So um, I am very impressed with Baltimore. Um, I think they have the best defense in the league right now. Not just a really good one, but they have the best defense in the league. They have they've always had a pretty good offense. When you have Lamar Jackson, you don't just have the dual threat, but you have a dual threat on another level. He's just insane at what he can do. You can never trust that he's just going to throw the ball. But if he needs to do it, he can do it. Unlike Justin Fields, So, um, they're just a really good looking team right now, good, well coached, and the defense I think isn't the reason they're winning games, but is a big part of it. And so, um, at this point, I'm wondering if the Ravens are going to be in the Super Bowl. Honestly, that might be an overreaction right now, but that's kind of my reaction there.
Yeah, Ravens are a Super Bowl candidate. They are tied for the best record in the AFC with the Chiefs, and if the Ravens and the Chiefs played, I would expect the Ravens to win by double digits.
Yeah. They're doing something different with Lamar Jackson right now than ever before. He's not having as many designed runs. They're keeping him in the pocket so they can keep him fresh. He's missed games at the end of the seasons, including the playoffs last year because of injuries, and he has less designed runs than any season before to keep him healthy. And because of that, or maybe from that, he has the best completion percentage in the NFL right now. So Lamar Jackson is playing the best football of his career, in addition to the Ravens having the best defense. That's a scary combination. So, all right, Dustin, Bengals, you start.
Bengals, they have improved in the last few games, won several in a row at least. Several in a row. I think that they're starting to get back into form of what we expect, and I expect them to go deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's because Joe Burrow's calf injury, right, or hamstring injury, whatever it was. He couldn't move at all in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, and it really showed. And now he's right back in the MVP conversation, honestly. And this Bengals team, they may not leapfrog the Ravens, but this is a wild card team at worst.
Yeah, they and this is a similar story. I feel like they've had the last few years. They start out slow, start out like people wondering what's going on here, and then they have a bang and they shoot off like crazy. And so, I guess we shouldn't be surprised at the slow start that they had, and now them starting to take off. And so, um, but the Bengals are like good. I think the whole division is in the playoffs right now, the playoff picture. And so I think Cincinnati is actually in last place as it stands, but they're still in the playoff picture, and so it's a very tough division, and they're a very good team. And as it stands right now, I definitely expect them to make a playoff run.
Yeah. Okay. Cleveland Browns. I'll start by saying I was right. Back in the preview, I said this team has a chance to be really special, and their defense is number 2 next to the Ravens, and it's an elite defense. Deshaun Watson is the one thing holding the team back a little bit, but if he can play a little bit, he had flashes on Sunday of playing really well. If he can complement that defense, there's no ceiling to where the Browns can go.
It's me now, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Credit to you, Scott. I think I was one saying that the Browns were not gonna look good. They were gonna be at the bottom of the division or something like that. Um, but I've been impressed there with this. I've been impressed, especially with their defense. Myles Garrett, of course, always leading that team. Um, Deshaun Watson, I think I was expecting him to do better this year, and he has been doing better. And so I guess I'm surprised overall by the team effort that they are gelling as good as they are, and playing as good as they are. So I think that's kind of my take on it.
There's not much more to add other than I think we've all maybe I was surprised. Scott, you said you weren't surprised, but I've been surprised at their success. I think that being above 500 is absolutely realistic at this point, and so if they do that, they're a playoff team.
Okay, Cody, start us off with the Steelers.
So Steelers, and this is where I get to take credit. I said that the Steelers. Well, one of the questions that was posed originally about the Steelers is that people were thinking this might be his first losing season for Mike Tomlin, and I said I don't think so. Mike Tomlin is a good coach. He's been there for 17 years, and he's going to find a way to make them to keep it a winning season. It's only 8 games in the game into the season, so a lot can change. But they're sitting at 5-3, well over 500, and that doesn't surprise me, to be honest. They have a good defense. They have T.J. Watt. when you have TJ Watt, you're going to be good no matter what. So Kenny Pickett's been doing pretty good. He hasn't been elite or anything, but he's been doing okay and good enough things for them. And so I'm not surprised. It's just Mike Tomlin, his coaching is able to get that team where they need to be and competing in a very difficult division.
So all the Steelers' 5 wins have all been single possession wins, one win by 7 points or less. And so I'm saying I'm not bought in yet. I think that a couple things change and they start piling up some losses, and I wouldn't be surprised if that starts to happen.
Yeah. I said this would be the worst team in the division. So far they're not there. Here's a crazy stat that you need to know. The Steelers have been outgained in every single game this season, and they're 5-3. That should not happen. Every single game they've been outgained. And that I think they're the only team that's been outgained this far into the season and has a winning record in NFL history. And so something's gone right there, and I can't put my finger on it because the team looks horrible every game, but they win. So I don't know. But okay, Dustin, start us off with the Atlanta Falcons.
All right. So I gotta make sure I find my standings here. All right. NFC South, that's their division. So Falcons have they actually have more wins than I think. I think this is the same amount of wins I expected them in all season, 4 wins. That was kind of my prediction of an all season. And so they've exceeded expectations, but we talked about them last week that I think Arthur Smith is an idiot. And I think he doesn't know how to throw the ball. And as a result, he's benching his quarterback because who else does he blame? And so I'm not sold on the Falcons, but they're doing better than I expected.
Yeah, it's a product of a much improved defense on the Falcons. Why they've won some games has nothing to do with the offense because they're not doing well on offense. Taylor Heineke kind of looked better than Desmond Ridder, but not really. So it's kind of the same player out there. The rushing offense is struggling, and that defense is the reason that they're staying in games. And as I said last week, they're fortunate they play in the division they play in.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, I'd said that they're going to win their division easily, and I don't, and that's where you guys can think and can rub it into my face. Um, I'm not surprised that they have 4 wins, as I said that I thought that they would win the division. So I was thinking that they would be good to an extent, but I would agree completely with you, Dustin, that Arthur Smith is an idiot. He's very one-dimensional, and you can't win games, you can't win divisions, especially in the NFL, being one-dimensional, especially in today's game, especially. You can't do that, and so I'm also surprised that they have what is it like 2 or 3 starting caliber running backs who aren't really running the way that they should be right now. Especially with the Bijan Robinson I think the 8th overall pick. I think he should have more than 500 yards. And so they need to figure something out quickly on offense, especially if they want to get back to the top of their division.
Moving on with the Panthers. This is where I was wrong because I said I think Bryce Young would step right in and play pretty well. And this is not weird territory because Peyton Manning threw 30 interceptions in his rookie season. So it's not unanticipated that the first overall pick plays poorly in his first year. When you're the first overall pick, you go to a bad team. That's just what happens. And the Panthers are a bad team. But Bryce Young, his turnovers are the reason the Panthers have lost a lot of games. And we all said that he could have problem going from Alabama to the NFL where he faces really good defenses, and we're seeing that.
So, and I was kind of the opposite. I didn't think that he would do well. I thought from the beginning that he was not. He was not the dude. He was not the number 1 pick. I also said that his size would be an issue, and I'm not sure it's been his size, but I have been right that he's been sacked 26 times already. That's ridiculous at this point in the season. And he, I think, has 7 or 8 interceptions. He's not playing well. Granted, there's issues with the offensive line. There's issues with the whole team, really. But it always starts with the quarterback. It always comes back to the quarterback. And so I'm not surprised. I'm right. It's kind of like my thought. He's not the dude. But going back to what you said, Scott, give him a year or two, he might be. He might season a bit.
Yeah, the coaches need to work with Bryce Young on decision making, which is at this point when you're struggling, you need to stop trying to get the home run, stop forcing those, get turnovers, taking sacks. Just teach him to say, hey, you're going to snap the ball, you're going to go 1, 2, 3 and throw it. And if that's what you got to do at this point is you got to focus on the 5-yard passes in order to get some yardage to try to get some first downs and just move the ball. And so this is more of a coaching issue than a player issue.
Yep. Okay, Cody, lead us off with the Saints.
So the Saints, this is just a bad division overall right now. The Saints are leading the division at 5-4, so barely over 500. Um, I probably have to look at the specific stats, but I think Derek Carr has been better. Okay. I'm not sure if he's been better than he was in Las Vegas. But he's not elite. He's definitely not even close to elite. Um, they're just not gelling as a team. They're not looking very good. They're in a bad division, so that's the good thing going for them right now. But they need to figure out their offense, especially. Get the ball more to. I'm not even sure if there's any injuries right now. Get the ball to Chris Olave more. Michael Thomas, he's usually been injured. Is he still in? Is he healthy?
He's there.
Okay. I mean, if you have Michael Thomas, you have Chris Olave, you have Alvin Kamara, you have Derek Carr. There shouldn't really be a reason you're not producing, and they're not. So it must be play calling. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it closely. But the only good thing going for them right now is their division.
So Alvin Kamara has one of the best efficiencies in the league right now. He's doing extremely well. It's not translating to wins, but they're doing their best to trying to say, okay, give it to Kamara and do that. And so they continue to try to build around Kamara. He's been very efficient, getting yards, getting touchdowns. And they just need to figure out a way to use somebody else, Cody, like you said. Who else can they use?
Yeah. I'm taking a little bit different stance than you guys because the Saints are right up there with the Ravens as one of the best defenses in the NFL. They lead the NFL in turnovers. They have 12 total takeaways so far. They've had at least one interception in every single game. They are the real deal, that defense, and I think that they're going to take control of this division and they're going to win it pretty easily at this point. That's my thought. As far as the quarterback goes, watching last week's game, Taysom Hill is the better option to put at quarterback right now. Not because he can throw the ball particularly well, but he's just so good at everything that he does. He had a receiving touchdown and a passing touchdown last week, and so he's a better option than Derek Carr right now, and that's not a good thing. But okay, Dustin, Buccaneers.
Yeah. Again, this is a bad division, but they're also being a bad team. They've had some good games, but overall disappointing, and it's going as expected. So I'm not surprised with anything.
The Bucs started the season 3-1, and I was saying, look, I'm right. And then they've lost 4 in a row. So I don't think that's very good. Todd Bowles is on the hot seat. I don't know if he should be on the hot seat. I don't know if he is, but he should be. He's not a good head coach. He's a fantastic defensive coordinator. He's a horrible head coach.
Yeah, he was the head coach of, I think it was the New York Jets a few years ago, right?
For 1 year.
For 1 year. He didn't do very good. This is his second chance, and for me, in my opinion, when someone is a head coach 2 separate times, they don't do well. I don't think they should ever get another chance. So we shouldn't be seeing Josh McDaniels again either. And I don't expect us to have this to see Todd Bowles again. And this might be an issue with me, but I can never understand how someone can be so good at either being an offensive or defensive coordinator, but can't be a good head coach. Because I mean, I there's definitely a lot of stuff that go into being a head coach that I'm not thinking of, I'm sure, but a lot of it's just time management and decisions on if you're going to go for it or not. And I think you're kind of dealing with a lot of that kind of thought process as a coordinator, aren't you? So I don't understand how he can be such a good defensive coordinator but a terrible head coach. And that might just be a conversation for another day. But I'm confused looking at the Bucks right now.
Yeah. Yeah, jumping to the AFC East, Buffalo Bills. I'm leading this one. That defense is really good, even though their best players are dropping like flies. Matt Milano's out for the season. Tre'Davious White is out for the season. Micah Hyde was hurt last night. Or not last night, 2 nights ago, or whatever, Sunday night. Anyway, the offense is not consistent, and you can't really pinpoint one thing. Josh Allen he's tied for the lead in turnovers again. And we mentioned that as a bad thing that he needed to get over last year. But offense is inconsistent and not very good. Defense is dropping like flies, and the Buffalo Bills are not even in the playoff conversation right now. So,
Yeah, Josh Allen is kind of looking like who he was about 3 years ago right now, which is not a good thing. And so I don't think I remember saying this, but it was a thought process I was having that the Bills' window for championship aspirations is starting to close. And I'm seeing that easily now this year. In fact, it may be closed already last year. And so I mean, injuries are a big problem, but I mean, if you can't figure out the turnover problem or the turnover margin, you're not going to win games. You're not going to win a division when you're in the same division as the Dolphins right now. So it's I don't know. They just got to figure some stuff out and try to get that window back open because it's not going to be open next year. I don't think.
So with the Bills, with Josh Allen, people always get excited when the Bills and the Jaguars play because you get two Josh Allens on the field, and one Josh Allen hits another one. Well, the Bills also have two different Josh Allens that play for the same team, and one of them is really good, and one of them absolutely sucks. And the sucky one's been playing a lot more. He's turnovers and trying to hurdle three different people and doing flips, and it's just making bad decisions. And yeah, Cody, to your point, it's if they can't figure it out for the next half of the season, this could be a season that is considered a bad one.
yeah. Cody, Dolphins.
Well, I just mentioned them a little bit. So there's 6-3 right now. So they were looking. Well, let me rephrase. They are still looking good, but they were looking really good at the beginning of the season. They've lost. I think I have to look at it. I think they've lost a couple of games recently. They lost to the Chiefs and then the Eagles a couple weeks before that. So they haven't lost bad games or anything, um, but they're a good looking team. They as of right now they have that division in the bag, especially if the Bills keep going the way they're going. So Tua is definitely, in my opinion, in the MVP conversation. He is a fantastic quarterback. He has a great cast around him. Devin Achane has just exploded off the charts. I hope I said that name right. Achane,
Achane.
Devin Achane. Yeah, he's exploded, and when you have Tyreek Hill, I mean, he basically has a disappearing act. Kind of what he is, and so they're just a good team. They have a good defense. You can't mess with them when you're playing them. You have to be at your best.
Yeah, I still maintain that the Dolphins are the top Super Bowl contender. Even though they're 6-3, they're kind of middle of the playoff pack. I think that they're just overcharged on offense, and that's great.
Yeah. No team should really be that disappointed if you lose to the Bills, Eagles, and Chiefs. Those are three really good teams. However, those are the only three teams with a winning record the Dolphins have played. So I'm not so sure I agree with you. Until they beat someone that's going to be in the playoffs, I don't trust them when you get to the playoffs. And so they're beating up on bad teams and they're losing to good ones, and that doesn't make you a good team. I think the Dolphins are good, but they're going to have to prove it. They're going to have to win tough games, and we're going to have to see that going forward. Dustin, yeah, Patriots.
Yeah, Patriots are kind of a laughing stock of the league right now, having one of the worst records, 2-7. There's been talk about Bill Belichick and where his next place is going to be. I think that's going to eventually be his decision on when he goes. But they're just having trouble figuring out the offensive situation, especially the quarterback, figuring out Mac Jones and helping him to be successful. I don't see them winning 5 games this season.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. They're horrible on offense. They lost their key contributors on defense to injury, and so they're not very good on that side of the ball either. They're in last place in the AFC completely, like number 16. And yeah, Bill Belichick's next stop is going to be Canton. I don't think he's coaching another team.
Yeah, and then these are some things I've seen as well, like on Facebook and other places. But some people have been wondering if he's going to get fired. I don't know if he'll get fired because of how much he's done for them, but he might be looking at retirement here pretty soon. Um, I don't think anyone should have a question anymore. Was it Belichick or was it Brady? Well, it was obviously Brady, not Belichick. And so, I think that yeah, it's a terrible team right now, and I'm not sure if it should all be on Belichick. A lot of it's on Jones or the quarterback situation, and just on the injuries and team in general. So, um, I agree with you, Dustin. I don't think they're going to win more than 5 games.
New York Jets. I start this one. It's as soon as Aaron Rodgers went out on that 4th play of the first game of the season, everyone knew it was going to go downhill from there. Zach Wilson is not getting better. I don't know if he's necessarily getting worse, but he's not getting better. And they have 8 offensive touchdowns in 8 games. That's what they've done. You don't win that way. And Aaron Rodgers is trying to come back this season. Even if he does, it's not going to be on a team that can contend for the playoffs. So I would hold out till next year if I were him. So
I was gonna say I saw an article come out recently saying that Aaron Rodgers has says he can be back in a few fortnights. So 4 to 6 weeks is what I understood, and that's going to be putting him around what game 17 or 18, and so it's no point in coming back at that point, especially with the team being led by Zach Wilson right now. So I agree with you 100% there, Scott. I'm kind of surprised that they're at 500 right now. I think it's all their defense doing that. But they have everything that they need except for the quarterback, which sucks because they had the quarterback and they just had the most Jets thing happen to them. They just struck bad luck and lost their quarterback. So yeah, it just sucks for them, and they at least they're better than the Patriots right now.
So I predicted the Jets to have a terrible record and to lose the division. I didn't predict it become because of an Aaron Rodgers injury. I thought it would become regardless of Aaron Rodgers, and so they're actually doing better than I expected. So, despite all the offensive struggles, they're doing better than I expected, regardless of whether Rodgers is playing.
Okay, 4 minutes to hit 4 teams. Can we do it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, NFC West. Arizona Cardinals. Cody, you're up.
The dumpster fire is continuing. So this is a dumpster fire from the beginning, and they're tanking like crazy. And they have one good win over the Cowboys. I don't know how they did it, but they suck.
The good news for ticket sales is Kyler Murray will be back. That doesn't change anything with wins.
That's true. Yeah. Kyler Murray should play this week. I think that means they get to win one, maybe two more games the rest of the year. But that's it. Okay, Dustin, Rams.
I expected them to be better than they are at 3-6. They're struggling much more than I thought they would.
Yeah, it's they just seem like a better team than their record shows. Matthew Stafford's hurt. Puka Nakua is playing out of this world as a rookie. They have Cooper Kupp there, but they're only averaging like less than 20 points a game on offense somehow. And so they should be better than what they're showing on the field.
I agree with you, Scott. That's it, it's confusing because they have the pieces there, minus some of the injuries. And so I think they're a sleeper team, if you will. I think every team that's going to play them, they need to be ready for them to explode in any moment. It's kind of like almost a dormant volcano. And until it happens, we'll see, I guess, when it happens.
Yeah. The 49ers, obviously they looked like the best team in the NFL after 5 weeks. They were 5-0, dominated every team. They've lost 3 in a row, and it's not complicated to see why. Number one, injuries. Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel have missed all 3 games. And then they had just 2 turnovers in those 5 games total, and they've had 7 in the last 3. And that's why they've lost. It's not complicated.
Yep, got to fix that turnover margin, and they'll be doing a lot better there. They're still a good team. It's just because they've lost three in a row. Yeah, it happens, but they're still a good team, and they're still as dangerous as they were week 1. I think just a little bit more better decision making on the QB part, and that's it.
Yeah, sirens are wailing and people are panicking in the Bay Area, trying to figure it out. Like I said, we lost 3 in a row. That's with a 17-game season. That's a big streak. So they need to figure it out really fast.
What do you bring us home with the Seahawks?
Well, Geno Smith just been falling down, and I, as a Seahawks fan, I think that they need to put Drew Lock in, see what he can do. But Seattle has a good team. They have good things around them, but Geno Smith has 8 turnovers in 4 games, and that you can't win with that. It's just terrible.
As a typical fan, Cody, good enough is never good enough. The Seahawks are doing great. They're tied for the division. They're fantastic. I think that they could absolutely win this division and be a great playoff team. They're playing great.
Yeah, they're doing fine. Geno Smith is not doing fine, but the defense is good. The team is a playoff team, but you still have to look at what they're doing. They were obviously dismantled by the Ravens, and most of their wins have come against NFL's worst teams: Cardinals, Panthers, Giants. So you do have to wonder how good that team is if they're only beating good teams and then getting destroyed by the Ravens. But so we'll see. They play 2 games against 49ers coming up here in the next 5 weeks. So
yep, we'll see.
Okay, we'll hit the other 4 divisions next week. Thanks, everyone.